Okay, so we go from one Disney story to the other one. Okay. So as we know, Jonathan Majors, right around the same time, was arrested. He was had charges allegedly of assault and battery and a couple of other things. So Jonathan Majors is now there's another update about this, and it's not looking good for this guy. Um, and I will, yesterday I came out and did a story about this, and I still believe this. We have to reserve our judgment. We have to wait until all the evidence is presented. We have to wait until what is going to happen is going to happen. Okay. Um, Social media, there are a lot of things swirling around this. Okay. First and foremost, we have social media. We live in a 24-hour news cycle, 24-hour, 7 days a week news cycle. And that being said, anything, anything that is breaking, everybody wants the first scoop at it. Even if it's wrong, because they can always retract it later. When this story first, the very first story broke, it was on TMZ, and I waited until the trades came in because I'll be honest, I don't really trust TMZ as a reliable source. That being said, the trades picked it up and what have you. We are now a couple of weeks out of this, okay, and so we just got an update yesterday, and there's more bad news for Jonathan Majors about this. So this comes from Variety, and it says that Jonathan Majors' issues worsen as more alleged abuse victims cooperate with the DA's office. As Jonathan Majors prepares for a May 8th court appearance on domestic violence charges, his PR problems are about to get bigger. So, sources familiar with the matter tell Variety that multiple alleged abuse victims have Majors have come forward following his March arrests and are cooperating with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. The prospect of more women waiting in the wings will mark a dramatic turn in the case and come on the heels of Major's publicist and management firm dropping him and cutting ties with the embattled actor earlier this week. The DA declined comment. Jonathan Majors is innocent and has not abused anybody. We have provided irrefutable evidence to the district attorney that the charges are false. We are convinced and confident that he will be fully exonerated, says Major's attorney in a statement. The Creed 3 star was arrested on March 25th in the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan on charges of strangulation, assault, and harassment. At the time, an NYPD spokesperson said in a statement that a 30-year-old woman told police she had been assaulted by Majors, 33, and that she, quote, sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition, end quote. But Major's lawyer mounted an immediate and aggressive response, insisting that the actor, quote, is probably the victim of an altercation with a woman he knows, end quote, and suggests that the woman was having a, quote, emotional crisis, end quote. A source familiar with the chronological events says the attorney released a statement while he was still behind bars. Chauncey's husband, who's the lawyer for Majors, Andrew Burke, Andrew Bork, is serving Major's crisis publicist and doubled down on the narrative that Major was a victim when he was released when he released a series of text messages on March 30th that were intended to be exonerating. In the text exchange, which has not been independently verified, the woman wrote to Majors, quote, I told him it was my fault for trying to grab your phone, end quote. And she stressed that she told police, quote, this was not an attack, end quote. The woman originally allegedly wrote, quote, please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol. And when they saw the injuries on me, they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did this, and I'm sorry that you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens to you. I love you, end quote. A few hours later, the woman allegedly wrote, quote, I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also will I also said to tell the judge that the origin of the 911 call was to for me collapsing and passing out, and you're not and you're worried as my partner due to the communication prior, end quote. But for many who were in the business, the text messages had the opposite effect, raising more questions than they answers, namely why the woman had lost consciousness. It's like a really bad Lifetime movie. Basically, it, it basically looked like the text messages of an abused, textbook abused woman, said one person who was working majors on an upcoming project. In recent events, majors have become one of the most famous and promising Hollywood stars, with a series of high profile and lucrative roles on the horizon. Now all eyes are on him with the MCU, where he's poised to play Kang in the Kang Dynasty. Majors is still attached to the film, which is slated to be released on March 2nd, 2025, and is poised for a $20 million payday, including back end compensation. He was also signed to do Avengers Secret Wars, which is slated to debut in 2026. Disney is monitoring the fast moving situation and it has time to deliberate. The megastar, the mega budget tentpole Avengers Kang Dynasty movie is scheduled to begin production in the spring of next year. Disney is already deep in business with majors, given that this specialty label Searchlight acquired the actor's critically lauded magazine Dreams, in which he played a troubled bodybuilder at the Sundance Film Festival, which was prepared to mount a robust Best Actors Award campaign later this year when it's released on November 8th. Majors also shot the second season of Disney Plus Loki, which is expected to launch on the streaming platform mid of 2023. I'm not gonna finish the article because it's too much. It's too long. But what I will say is this: let's talk about this real quick. Number one, I think that let's get something straight here. He's in deep trouble. Okay. Number two, okay. He. I mean, anybody. We can all look at the physique here. Okay. He's huge. This isn't CGI, guys. If you've seen Creed 3, okay, and you know of, even one of the scenes where he's, doing bench pressing and everything else, he's jacked. Um, I'll say this much: if he's guilty, and that is a big if, I'm saying that right now because that's a necessary thing. If if he is guilty, if he is guilty, he deserves everything he gets. Okay. That being said, that we have other people coming out, other women coming out, it's not looking good. Okay. The other thing too is, and I have to reiterate this: the fact that this was the woman can do absolutely nothing here. Let's call a spade a spade. Okay, she can do absolutely nothing. And the other thing I have to say is this: every single 911 call, every single 911 call across this country, even that's going on right now as I'm streaming, is recorded for purposes of if they need to go back and hear something or find out something, they can. So if he did call 911, I'd like to hear the call. Now, according to some people, there's video evidence in the cab. That's yet to be determined. Um, okay. So everybody just got a sneak peek into my room. It's a mess. I'm sorry, guys. So getting back to what I was saying, though, I think the fact is that. So let's go to Metal's comment real quick. It hurts to see this happening to him. Hopefully, it gets worked out. Yeah, no, I hope so too. I do hope so because I feel like it's a necessary thing that needs to get worked out. So let's go back and recap real quick. Number one, if they have a 911 call, I think they need to come out and play it. Okay, they need to play the phone call, plain and simple. Okay, I think they need to play the phone call and they need to tell us what's going on. Number two, okay, the fact is that the more women that come out and say something. I mean, look, I was just watching Spotlight last night. Okay, the 2015 Best Picture winner. And it's a completely different thing. What I'm going to get at is this: the more people that came out, the harder and harder it was to deny. Um, they need to do something very, very quickly. If there is video evidence of this in the cab, they need to come out and say that. Okay, they can't just, you know, say, "Oh, well, we have video evidence," and then don't show anything. Okay, you have the 911 call. Let's see what it says. Now we're definitely gonna get this in that hearing. I believe it was May 8th. Yeah, May 8th. So we're only gonna have to wait a couple more weeks. So I hope, to your point, Metal, I hope this works out. I really do. But there's another question here. So it's said in the piece that Disney was he was still attached to Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. What happens if on May 8th he's held without bond? Because my guess is right now is ROR, or on his own recognizance, released on his own recognizance. You haven't heard a peep from Majors because this team is basically saying, look, we need to do damage control right now. Um, what happens? How fast is it? He is supposed to be in about half of the episodes of Loki. Where do they go? They've always had stars, okay, that have had problems, okay, but they've been minor problems, or they've been minor stars. So they can say, okay, you don't need to be in the next movie then. They can't do that with him. He is the big bad, right? I mean that shot on the right there is of Kang. He is supposed to be the big bad of Phase 5 and Phase 6. What do? How fast do you recast? They're in a real problem right now. And you got to look at it like this too. Think about this. What happens moving forward? Right? What happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? What happens if another star comes out? Okay? And this happens to another. I'm not saying to those allegations. I'm talking about if another star comes out and says something on social media that's not so good. You know, there's a lot of questions to be answered here. Um, to your point, Metal, I hope that puts us back up. I hope it's sad to hurt. It hurts to see this happening. I hope it gets worked out, and I do too. I do too because it does have to get worked out. And the longer that this goes on, the longer there's going to be questions about it. And when do you put Loki season 2 out? That's another whole thing. Anyways, guys, what do you think about this? What would you do if you're Kevin Feige and Marvel? What would you do if you're Disney and Bob Iger? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody.